I'm Stephanie, and welcome to Wine Club. This is the playlist where I drink good wine while I whine about bad books. And today's offender is Margo's Got Money Troubles by Rufi Thorpe. This is your warning that there will be spoilers in this review, because I've got some things to talk about. Now, before I get into the review proper, I do want to say, like I say in all my reviews, that this is solely about the book and not about the author as a person. I'm sure she is lovely, and I'm very happy that she got her book published. But let's go ahead and see what this book was supposed to be about, so then I can talk about all the things I didn't like about it. As the child of a Hooters waitress and an ex-pro wrestler, Margo Millets, I'm going to say it Millet, it could be Mellet, I'm not quite sure, but that's how I'm going to say it. Margo Millet's always known she'd have to make it on her own. So she enrolls at her local junior college, even though she can't imagine how she'll ever make a living. She's still figuring things out and never planned to have an affair with her English professor. And while their affair is brief, it isn't brief enough to keep her from getting pregnant. Despite everyone's advice, she decides to keep the baby, mostly out of naivete and a yearning for something bigger. Now, at 20, Margo is alone with an infant, unemployed, and on the verge of eviction. She needs a cash infusion, fast. When her estranged father, Jinx, shows up on her doorstep and asks to move in with her, she agrees in exchange for help with childcare. Then, Margo begins to form a plan. She'll start an OnlyFans as an experiment. She soon finds herself adapting some of Jinx's advice from the world of wrestling, like how to craft a compelling character and make your audience fall in love with you. Before she knows it, she's turned it into a runaway success. Could this be the answer to all of Margo's problems? Or does internet fame come with too high a price? Blisteringly funny and filled with sharp insight, Margo's Got Money Troubles is a tender tale starring an endearing young heroine who's struggling to wrest money and power from a world that has little interest in giving it to her. It's a playful and honest examination of the art of storytelling and controlling your own narrative, and an empowering portrait of coming into your own, both online and off. And if you can't tell by the tone switch, I don't agree with this book jacket cover copy. This blurb is a lie. It's not funny. It's not endearing. I don't like the heroine. So I'll be honest, when I started reading this, I truly didn't get it. Thorpe switches between first and third person, and I couldn't tell if the narrator was Margo or what exactly is going on. It's definitely a choice, as the narrator calls it out and tells us that she is going to be switching back and forth. Goody. It's kind of fourth wall breaky, but also not. It really took me a bit to get used to the whiplash between the point of view changes with the same character. It truly was unlike anything I've ever really read, but in this it didn't really work out. I think it is a neat writing mechanism, but it didn't work in this. Now, I have since read reviews that said that this is optioned to be a TV show, and that totally makes sense. I could actually see this being a TV show, but it really reads like Thorpe got the option and then quickly had to churn out a novel to build a fan base and didn't take the time or care in making this a novel properly. It really read like, what's the fastest way to repurpose this treatment for a TV show and make it a book? Oh, got the first draft written, let's send it to print. It needed some work. After I finished it and hearing that it was optioned for TV, it does make me wonder if this was stylized like Fleabag, where she breaks the fourth wall. But Fleabag was actually funny, and this isn't. The point of view switches are odd. I don't really like any of the characters, and honestly, I don't know what the point of this was. I know all stories are a snapshot of a character's life, but typically one where they grow and change and learn to be good people. All I learned in this is that Margo had a baby, struggles, but is also amazingly good at OnlyFans and TikTok without knowing what she's doing. The whole having the baby is the inciting incident, but she doesn't even seem to like her baby's dad. Like, she's very apathetic about their relationship. Like, she's just going through the motions of having sex with him. But why? She doesn't even have a crush on him or even an attraction to him. She doesn't even seem to like him as a person. I mean, the story doesn't happen without her son's birth, but it felt so forced in how to get there. I just really felt disconnected from this, and not just because of the point of view switches. I don't know or understand Margo. We get two versions of her. We are in first person right inside her head, and we are, with the narrator, viewing her. I still don't understand her. She is so naive, but also grew up with a single mom and knew about her dad but couldn't be with him as he had a whole ass other family. But she doesn't realize that having a baby at 19 is going to be tough. She doesn't realize she needs childcare, and for some reason her mom is suddenly bad with babies. Apparently it's a fucking miracle that Margo made it to adulthood, which she really shouldn't have. But truly, Margo seems so ill-prepared for motherhood and doesn't bother holding her son's father, her English professor, Mark, accountable for this child. She loses her job and is all in a tailspin, and then Mark's mother contacts her out of the blue and basically says, like, Margo will get $15,000 if she never tells people about her son's paternity. So Bodhi, the son, will then have $50,000 set aside for him in kind of like a trust. She signs the contract without reading it through or asking for more. She lives in California and doesn't seem to understand how fast her $15,000 will go when her rent is already $1,000 a month because she's splitting a 4-bedroom unit with 3 other women. Margo, sweetie, I beg you, think this through, please. Of course, she soon realizes that the money is going faster than she thought it would. At least at one point, she does say that she realizes the poor choices that she makes. But again, I feel like I don't know her or why she does what she does. She has her son because she says she's never wanted anything so much. She starts an OnlyFans because she's never wanted anything so much. She wants to be famous. She's never wanted anything so much. Seriously, I started tabbing how many times she throws around this phrase because the things she's never wanted more than anything starts to add up. Sweetie, you only really get one of those before everything else is kind of just, you want it. But why? There really aren't many emotions from Margo. I started to imagine her as a Westworld robot imitating a human. Her dad had more emotions and made me feel things. But Margo, I don't think I could accurately describe her because she also kind of seems to be a new character in every single scene. We have 2 points of view telling us her story, and I still have no idea who she is. To add to the robot feeling, her instant rise to fame was laughable. And in a way, I think it makes people think that it's just super easy to become internet famous. Her little TikTok venture it's strange. I don't get it. But I'm also not 20, so it could just not be my generation's humor. But I truly don't understand how her little skit that she ends up doing blew up. Now, I could see it blowing up because people are all, what the fuck is this? And sharing it because it's ridiculous, and not because they actually like it. So this could also just be a personal thing, so sorry, I get salty about social media plot lines. I've worked in marketing and social media for more than a decade, and this is not how this works. This is not how any of this works. She literally decides to start an OnlyFans account posting pics of her boobs, and then immediately makes $4,000, then she comes up with a persona, then changes it again, and makes $12,000 in an hour. Are you kidding me? She also has like 5 pictures on her account and then pays another content creator $500 to promote her account without negotiating terms, and then is pissed when the other content creator is like, hey, my fans that are going to be told to come to your account need exclusive pricing. Like, yeah, Margo, that's how this works. Margo has no clue what she's doing, but just bumbles her way into success. And I don't believe it. Social media takes time, and especially something like TikTok, where, again, she doesn't seem to know what she's doing. It takes time to come up with the content. It takes time to be noticed. It takes time to come up with a community. It takes time to find followers. It takes time to engage with those followers. But no, sure, she makes 12 grand in an hour. Like, she must have the best set of breasts anyone has ever seen. She also, amazingly, lives near this other content creator named Casey and her roommate Rose, who are also on OnlyFans, and they also make a podcast. And Margo is invited on, even though she has very little star power, and she's all, oh, I love your podcast, but has never listened to any episodes. And of course, these women just think Margo is a marketing genius and agree to co-create content with her. I mean, are you kidding me? So, of course, Mark, her baby daddy, finds out that she's doing OnlyFans when an old high school classmate basically doxes Margo and exposes her real identity. And the whole scene before her being doxed was just written so weirdly. Again, I don't understand Margo or know anything about her besides she has a baby and takes pictures of herself naked, which, more power to you. But this friend comes over and they're all chatty, and then the friend flips a switch and apparently becomes an uber villain and is set to destroy Margo when she finds out that she's posting on OnlyFans. I can understand Margo's parents having some issues accepting their daughter's work choices, and they just want to make sure that she's safe and can actually support herself and her family and is thinking of the long-term consequences of her choices. They are her parents. But this friend is all, oh, you're a slut, like mother, like daughter. I guess I don't think I'd care that much if I found out a friend was doing OnlyFans. Again, I would be mostly concerned of like, make sure that they're not getting your real name, make sure that they're not finding out where you live, like, be safe. Remember that these pictures will exist for forever. People can take screenshots, like, just be safe about it. But more power to you if that is how you want to make your career. It's not illegal. And actually, kind of a funny story, my college dean was outed for doing OnlyFans with his wife. The only thing I thought was, good for them. They're not hurting anybody. Like, if the students come across it, that's kind of on them for being on the account. And he wasn't representing the school in an official capacity. It is his personal life, and it's none of my business. But going back to Margo and her friend saying, like mother, like daughter, Margo's mom confused me to no end. I don't know if she was supposed to be like a gold digger or late in life convert to religion. But yeah, Margo's mom... Oh my god, what is Margo's mom's name? What is her mom's name? Whatever. Mom raised Margo on her own, worked her ass off to raise her, but also seemed to be into things like online poker and having a good time in life. But now she's with this youth pastor named Kenny, but is lying to him about her entire life. She doesn't want to tell him that Margo had a baby, and then doesn't tell him about some of her other vices, and has to sneak out on their honeymoon to go downstairs because they're staying in like Las Vegas so she can gamble and then sneak back into bed before he knows. Am I supposed to why are you lying to this man? Honestly, Margo's dad, Jinx, that's his stage name, his real name is James, was probably my favorite character. Even though he has his own slew of issues, like he's dealing with depression, and he's truly just dealing with some shit and addiction. I also really liked Margo's roommate, Susie. She's extremely comfortable with who she is and proud of her cosplaying life and being a full-out nerd. Be like Susie. So anyway, Mom cuts Margo off after Margo's identity is revealed, and Mark ends up filing for full custody of the son he's never even met nor financially supported. His mother had to give her that money. Margo has to fight for her son and go through all these evaluations to prove that she's a fit mother, even having CPS check up on her due to an anonymous welfare check tip that we find out her mother called in. Her mother called it in as a wake-up call for Margo. Excuse me? Her mother should be reported for wasting CPS's time. That social worker could have been investigating real cases of neglect and child endangerment. Her mom knew Bodhi was fine. He was not being exposed to anything dangerous or put in a bad situation. She did it solely to scare Margo. That's fucked up. And it's kind of just swept under the rug later as Margo comes up with another brilliant plan to scare the social worker away by threatening to sue her for millions of dollars. Okay. Just the fact that the mom thought that that was an okay use of the social worker's time is ridiculous. Like, oh my god, this mom makes me mad. I haven't even talked about another subplot of a romance between Margo and one of her fans named JB. Some of their conflict was pretty forced, but I actually didn't mind their little romance. Except, spoiler alert, they don't end up together, at least not really. And he arrives to rescue her from her job with a proposal to become a marketing consultant. What in the hell? Like, she knows nothing about anything. JB, sure, I buy him being able to do this, because he actually seems kind of smart. But come on! Everything just falls into Margo's lap so easy, and it's so fucking easy for her to just become this marketing genius and make a shit ton of money when she knows nothing. She knows how to do nothing. So another thing with this book that I didn't absolutely love is I expected this to be a lot funnier, given that we are told, and I quote, "It is a bold, laugh-out-loud, funny, and heartwarming story about one young woman's attempt to navigate adulthood, blah, 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 blisteringly funny and filled with sharp insight." Did I miss something? Where's the humor in this? Where are the funny scenes? There were a few times when I chuckled or did the breathing out my nose laughing, but I wasn't rolling on the floor laughing. I specifically picked this up because I wanted something funny and expected more of a comedic take on coming of age and doing this kind of stuff. God, Lucy from Listen for the Lie, a murder suspect, was funnier than Margo. I laughed out loud more reading that than I did this, a book that specifically said to be funny. Blisteringly funny. Where? Were those pages missing in my copy? Also, if you're like me and you know very little about WWE or the world of wrestling, you're going to be very confused reading this. Her dad is obviously involved in that lifestyle and throws around names and terms as if we're all in on it. I have no idea what a face or a heel means, and I'm sure as shit not going to waste my time Googling it when I've already wasted my time reading this. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'm just kind of baffled by this reading experience. It's one of those books that make me go, is it me? Am I in that Taylor Swift song? I'm the problem, it's me. This is rated so highly on Goodreads, and I feel like I'm missing something. I have no problem with the book's content and reading a story about a woman running an OnlyFans account. Though I do wish Margo had struggled a bit more building it and actually putting some solid effort into it instead of just instantaneously getting famous, making tons of money, and then the worst thing that happens when she gets doxxed is that her mom is mad. There are some real dangers with that line of work. And there are some scary people in the world who think it's okay to threaten and carry out harm in others because they do things that don't align with how they feel. So, time for another real talk. Years ago, I worked for a local municipality, and we had a crisis situation with one of our police officers and then the police department as a whole. Now, I managed the city's social media and had to respond to people's comments and questions about city council meetings and special meetings around this crisis to address it. Someone apparently did some sleuthing and found me on LinkedIn and then shared my picture with the people making death threats and saying that they would come to the police station themselves and shoot people. I was terrified. I would not leave the building alone for fear that someone would come out and pop around a car and shoot me just because I was doing my job and that they thought it was okay for them to take their anger out on me. These things happen, and it is scary, and it should have been given some weight and exploration. Not that Margo should have been threatened or actually hurt, but she should have at least acknowledged that these things happen to people who do this type of work. People have very strong feelings in this area and often feel that they are justified to hurt others for how they feel. Okay, real talk over. It's just, this story itself is so blah and disjointed and honestly boring. It's just a series of events in Margo's life, and it felt like a diary, not an actual story. Another reviewer on Goodreads named Anna summarized it really well by saying, "While there are aspects to appreciate, the experience as a whole feels more like a series of highs and lows rather than a cohesive journey." And this should have been a relatively fast read. Look how small it is. But it's not, because this book drags and it's boring and... I ended up giving this 2 stars, and I feel that is very generous. The idea is there, and sadly, I do think this will play out better as a show. But if you're going to publish it as a book and charge people money for it, then actually do the work to make it work as a book too. When I finished this, all I could ask was, what's the point? I didn't care about this reading experience. I didn't care about the characters. I don't really feel that Margo went on a good journey. What is the point of this existing? Ugh. If you do have any recs for books where social media or alternative job options play a role, please leave your recommendations in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for joining me at Wine Club, and I hope to see you again.